So there are two cases about the thread's state when this t.interrupt will be called. The case one is that the thread is in the non-waiting or non-timed waiting. I mean, it is in a state which is not waiting or timed waiting state. Thread is in the kind of a runnable state. So when the thread is in the runnable state and t.interrupt will be called, basically interrupt method will be called on the thread instance, then the JVM will see that the thread is not in a waiting or timed waiting state. In that case, only the interrupted flag will be set to true, right, and no exception will be raised. The other case is that, okay, let me show some code here. So in this case, when the thread is in a runnable state, for example, when the thread is executing this line of the code, it is printing this line, and let's say at this point in time t.interrupt is called, then the thread is in the runnable state as of now, right. In that case, the thread will get interrupted, the interrupted status will be set to true, then the thread will execute the next statement, which is available in the method to execute for the thread, right. And normal execution will happen. The only thing that will happen here is the interrupted status will be set to true. The thread won't get interrupted as it is not in the waiting or the timed waiting state. This catch block, the code written here won't be printed. If you write here anything like print exception, the thread will follow the normal execution. The next line in the order of the execution will be executed, that is the thread.sleep, right, and then will safely come out of this method. The only thing that will happen is the setting of the interrupted status, right. So no exception is raised in this case. The other case is that as I explained earlier, that the waiting or the timed waiting state, in those cases exception is raised, interrupted exception is raised, and interrupted status is set to true. When this interrupted exception is raised, what JVM does is that as soon as JVM sees that the thread is in the in any of these two states and interruption has been requested, then JVM basically it sets the interrupted status to true immediately, and then it raises the interrupted exception. A very important point to note here is that right at the time this exception is raised, this flag is reset, it is cleared, it is now reset to the default value of the interrupted flag. So you might have seen in your Java projects that a line like this is written, thread dot, this line must have been written over there, because at the time of raising this exception the interrupted flag is cleared, means it is reset to its default value, which is false, right. And in order to tell the higher level code, the other threads, the other part of the code which will get executed after the execution of this part, right, to tell the other threads that the thread executing this part of the code had gotten interrupted at some point in time, right. To tell that, to maintain that status, this part of the code is written over there. If you don't write in normal scenarios, it won't affect much, but in production scenarios it can affect you badly. So it is a very good practice to write this part of the code, thread.currentThread.interrupt inside the catch block.